Hi besties, welcome back to the channel. It's your favorite girl Munnoh. You guys requested for this turban tutorial. If you're interested in it, please keep watching. For this turban, we're going to cut the body first. I usually do not use this edge, so what I do is I rule that end. So I've already done that. So I mark out that end so that I don't include it in my measurements. The width of the turban, we're going to do that on the stretchy part. Please note that this fabric is on fold now. Fold. And I'll be measuring 14 inches. 14 inches on fold. That means I'm using 28 inches. 14 inches on fold. And then for the depth, I'm using 14 inches. You can use 12, you can use 13, depending on how much room you want your turban to have. Connect your lines and then cut it out. I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to cut out that edge as well. Mark it so that I'll know my back. So that's for the bodies of the turban. Now we're going to cut the band. I'm doing 16 inches. I'm going to make pleats on, we're doing a V base actually, so I'm going to make pleats on this band. So I'm going to take, what I have here is 7.5 inches, so I'm going to take it as it is. I'm going to use it as it is. But you can use up to 10 inches if you want more pleats. If you want more pleats, use up to 10 inches so that you can get enough pleats. So the next thing we're going to cut is the wording that we're using for the upper part of the turban. So I have this wording in 4 pieces. What I did was 2 inches for each. So I cut out 2 inches in 4 places. You can do more than 4 pieces of wording, but me, I'm using 4 pieces because I want my turban to have like 4 steps of that padded part. Okay, and this is the thickness of the wording that I'm using. I'm not using the very thick one. I think this is 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. I don't know. This should be 1/4 inch. Yes, so the thickness of this wording is 1/4 inch. When you go to buy, you might not get 1/4 inch. You might get 1 inch or 2 inches. So what I do is, if it's too thick, I would share it. I would divide it. It's quite easy to divide like this. You can see ahead. So that's how I did mine. When I bought mine, it was thicker than this. So I just divide. After cutting, I divide it, you know, to give me the thickness I want. So this is 1/4 inch I'm using. And I cut in 4 places. Let me show you the length that I'm using. So for the length, I have 26 inches. So I have 26 inches by 2 inches. Next thing we're going to do is to cut out the fabric that we're going to use for that wording, to cover the wording thing. And I'm doing 28 inches. This fabric is on fold. This fabric is still on fold. 28 inches is 14. So 28, that's 14. By 5 inches. And then I'll cut that in 4 places. This is the 4 cutout for the wording part. So I'm going to set that aside. I'll set that aside. And then we'll move on to making the base. So I take this 2.5 inches. I fold it at 2.5 inches. And then I sew at 1 inch. So this is what we have for the first pleat. So I'm going to open this up because I don't want all the sewing to show at the back. And then I'll pleat my second pleat. I should be able to make 3 pleats on this. So I'm going to stitch on that second, on the second pleat, not on the first though. So this is what you should have, like this. Then I'll add my third pleat. So you have the back of your turban looking this neat. That is why I prefer to use that method. I can now close it up and cut out the excess. Okay, so we have pleated base. I'm going to do the same thing for the second side and I'll come back to show you. So I'm done making the two of them. At this point, you can weave the edges or use bias. The reason I'm doing this is for people who don't have weaving machine. So if you don't have weaving machine, you can just use bias or a piece of the fabric to close off the edge. Look at the edges, very neat, right? So we're going to form a V now. Form a V. So our V is ready, our band is ready. So I'm going to fold this into equal halves so that I can get the center of my V, of my band. So I'm going to notch it at the center here. That's the center of my band. I'll set it aside and then move on to covering the wording now. For this part, I'll just take that 4 pieces that I cut out, right? I'll put my wording in between, then I'll close it up and sew. I'll close it up and sew at 1/2 inch. So this is what it should look like, right? I'll do the same thing for all 4 of them and then I'll come back to show you. So these are all 4 of them. I've finished covering them up. The next thing we're going to do now is to attach it to the main bodice of the turban, which is this. So this is the upper part of our turban. We'll put the first one. Watch carefully how I put it. Please do not sew this thing to face this side and then think, okay, you're going to turn it this way. You can actually do it like that, but I promise you this is going to be flipping backwards. So what you do is face it to face this rough part will face the back side. If you want, you can use pin. You don't need to leave enough space here. This is just like 1/4 inch space at that edge. And you don't have to pin it either. I'm just pinning it so that you see what I'm doing, right? So I'm going to go ahead and stitch. So go ahead and trim out this excess. Now I forgot to mention, after closing the wording, you can decide to weave all of this, but even if you don't weave it, it doesn't matter because it's not going to show on, you know, when you finish sewing. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to use it like that without weaving. So trim out the excess. So we're going to attach the next one like this. next one close to the first. Trim out the excess as well. Only attach 3. The last one we're going to attach is a little bit different. You know, the others we're attaching it like this, but for this one we're going to attach it this way. We're going to attach this one this way, so that when we are done we can flip it over to cover the rough edge. So we're going to be attaching like this. So you can see that I'm attaching this in the opposite direction, so that I don't have the rough edge on the outside. So after that, trim out the excess and then flip it to this side. Once you flip it over, then you go ahead and stitch it on the side to hold it down. So later on, by the time you iron it, you know, it's going to stay like this. It won't be opening up to this side, all right? So the next thing we're going to do is to get the center of this so that we can attach the base. So you fold into 2 equal halves so that you can get your center and attach your base. I'll notch that center. Then I'll get my base. Remember that we notched it earlier, so we're going to attach center to center. You pin center to center and then attach them together. So this is what it looks like. I've gone ahead to attach straps for tying on the band. The next thing I'm going to do is so I cut out lining to line my turban because I usually line my turban. For you, you can decide to just weave these rough edges and leave it as it is. But if you want to put lining, you can go ahead and do that at this point. So that is what I'm going to do.
Mark 8 verse 36 says, "What shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world and lose his own soul?" Jesus is interested in your life. He's interested in all you do. Give him a chance today.
So I've gone ahead to weave my turban to give it a neat finish. So I curved the part, this down part. I did that off camera. So I just curved it a bit, then weaved the inside so that it gives it a neat finish. The next thing I'm going to do is to put my turban together, then take my measurement and close it up. After that, I will gather it, and that's all for the turban. We are done. The inside, the outside, very neat everywhere.